Human number 3, living corpses. Howdy, my name is Darian Shelp, and today I'm going to tell you about the story of how I got my gargoyle geckos. Now, originally the plan was to get crested geckos. I know, not the same species, but, that's what ended up happening, and it's quite an interesting story. It took a lot of planning, convincing, and so many negotiations it felt like I was playing a game of gambling, but eventually I was able to get the lizards I wanted to get. The original plan was I needed to take a shot before I went over there because COVID started happening and I needed to get a shot. So the plan was to get my shot, get some food, and then drive over. And this, of course, is across the states. This is a long drive indeed, but we started a plan anyways. So the start of the plan went really well. Got my shot, no real issues or drawbacks from there. Went to get some food, and then me and my mother started driving across the state to go there. Now, we were kind of cutting it for time because the pet shop was going to close very close to when we were going to make it there. We'd have about a half an hour when we got there. We were making good time when we were driving. I ended up eventually, while I was driving, getting on a call with some of my friends and chatting on them, a nice feature of the car. Just chatted with them while we were driving across state. And then that's when things started to take a turn. While we were driving there and almost about, I would say, one light or turn away from where we were supposed to go, I got rear-ended twice by a car. That was shocking. My friends were like, "Are you alive? Are you okay? What's going on?" Luckily, no one was really injured or hurt at the time, but needless to say, I had to call my friend going, "Hey, can you pick us up? We got rear-ended twice." So, after figuring that out, we ended up getting picked up. And it was funny, because after the crash just happened, it started storming like crazy. The wind started picking up, rain was pouring heavily, to a point where mulch was flying in the air and hitting me in the face, which my friend found hilarious when I had to pull a piece of mulch out of my hair. But we ended up going to the pet shop, and the owner was really kind. He was accepting, he heard what happened and managed to give me a special deal where normally in the pet trade, crested geckos are cheaper than gargoyle geckos. That's just how it is. The different species, they're a little bit cheaper. Normally how it is. He gave me a deal of essentially getting a pair of gargoyle geckos and the entire setup for the price I would have had to pay to get cresteds. And I like gargoyles more, so I ended up getting them. Problem is, I didn't necessarily notice at the time, so we were picking up all the equipment, loading in my friend's car, and I realized that the car was done, put out of commission. So drove back over to where the crash site was as the tow truck guy started getting there. And we were having that moment of, are we going to get the stuff back? But in an act of kindness that honestly surprised me, the tow truck driver offered to essentially load our car with all the equipment and drive us to the car depot to rent a car to get across the state. That took quite a long time to find a car that would actually let us drive across the state, but needless to say, we eventually managed to find a place that would actually let us rent a car, and he was very nice about it. He even offered that potentially driving us across the state for, of course, a payment. But he was very kind in letting us take not only myself and my mom, but also the geckos with us and all the equipment. We finally got a rental car, which was funny because I think I was one of the few people ever hiding geckos in a purse while approaching into a car dealer for rentals. That was interesting in of itself. But we managed to finally get on our way home. The truck driver allowed us to get in there, get our stuff, load the rental, and start driving across the state. But the story was a proof of two things. One, random kindness does exist. There are kind people in the world. Two, I also realized how stubborn I am when it comes to getting things through, because it came to a point where we faced a car wreck. I ended up having physical therapy due to the car wreck, which is another story. And all these crazy events happen, and I still managed to do what I wanted to do. It wasn't easy with many obstacles, but keeping a calm mind helped me get through it all and finish what I set out to do. The original trip plan was to take roughly about 6 hours, roughly. The full events, driving there and driving back. We left at about 11 a.m. in the morning, maybe a little bit earlier. We didn't get home until 11 that very night. Needless to say, we all crashed, but that's the story I was going to tell you guys today of how I managed to get some of the most interesting geckos and the weirdest story I think I have ever heard of how I got a pet. Thank you for your time.